Lunar Abyss is launching today and I had a chance to test it out early thanks to the developers providing me with the key, but I am late with this video, not because I was busy, because I could not stop playing it. That's it, that's the review, honestly, that's the whole video. It's amazing, just buy it. But no, yeah, let me tell you more about this game and how it actually runs on the Steam Deck. Now, Lunar Abyss is a first-person bullet hell shooter developed by Quality Labs. You play as a prisoner sent to explore an abandoned megastructure deep beneath the surface of an artificial moon. It has a pretty dark setting, some dark environments, some really colorful environments, and a pretty heavy atmosphere. If you've played Returnal, Saros, Doom, or even Metroid, I think the combat loop will feel familiar straight away. It's got waves of orbs flying at you from all directions, you have lock-on, you have dodge, double jump, you gotta keep moving. It's a very fast and very reactive game. And the exploration side of it reminds me a lot of Metroid. The way you move through the world, the sense of isolation, the way the story is being drip-fed to you. I think it's about an 8 to 10 hour game to finish, so it's not a long game, but it is pretty dense, and if you look for the story, you will find it. I genuinely could not put this game down because it's just really good and refreshing. I had not played such a cool first-person game for some time, and I really enjoyed my time with it. Now, how does it actually run on the Steam Deck? First thing you need to know, out of the box, Lunar Abyss disables the video settings menu entirely on the Steam Deck. It detects the hardware and locks you into a preset automatically. You cannot touch anything. And that preset runs at a rock solid 60 FPS, which is fine. I think it's mostly on the low end of the settings, and I understand why the developers did it. This promises a very stable experience on the Steam Deck, and for some people it's enough that they don't want to tweak the settings, but if you do want control over your settings, for example to push for 90 FPS or dial things back for better battery or better visuals, you need to unlock the settings manually, and to do that you can go to your launch options in Steam and you can add the command Steam Deck equals 0% command percent. You need to type it exactly like you see it, and that will open everything up. Now, one thing I want to flag before anything else, this game is kind of dark in the beginning, like actually hard to see. I had to push brightness up to around 65 before I could properly make out what was happening in a lot of the areas. That might be something you want to do, although later on it's a lot better in terms of brightness. Once you have the settings unlocked, this is how the presets kind of shake out. In this section of the video, I try to improvise a benchmark. However, this is not really indicative of how most of the gameplay unfolds. However, this area particularly was pretty heavy, so I decided to try and do some sort of comparison between the different presets. Now, the lowest preset will get you 90 FPS. If you're playing on the OLED and you want that 90 Hz experience without any frame gen involved, this is gonna be your only choice. Medium preset is more interesting. On paper, it can hit 90 in some of the areas, but in the bigger, more open sections later on in the game, it will drop. And I'm not talking about dropping to 70. In some spots, it goes down to 45 FPS. So the realistic target for stability for you having a consistent experience for the medium preset is 45 FPS. And here's the thing, 45 FPS is actually a perfect target for lossless scaling. So I ran medium at a 45 FPS cap, I threw lossless scaling 2 times on top, and I got a pretty smooth experience. This is how I played through most of the game. 45 FPS is stable enough that you don't experience any input latency when running lossless scaling 2 times. In the beginning, in the first 2 or 3 hours of the game, you can actually play medium preset without any lossless scaling, and it will run between 60 and 70 FPS. It's just later on that it sort of drops. There is one setting that matters more than the others, and that's anti-aliasing. Right now on the screen, you're looking at anti-aliasing on high versus anti-aliasing on medium, and this will have a big impact on how the game looks like. If you set it to low or medium, you will see a lot of jagged lines, particularly around your weapons. I tried dropping it to medium and the image quality takes a real hit. Jagged edges everywhere. It also has a noticeable impact on performance, so you can use this setting sort of as a lever. High for better image, medium if you want a few extra FPS, but honestly I think high is where it needs to be. Now if you guys are enjoying this breakdown so far, consider joining my Steam group and following my SteamFlow curator page. I share how games run on the Steam Deck, so you know exactly what to expect before buying. Links will be in the description. Now after hours of testing, these are the settings I'm recommending. Set the resolution scale to 85 and do a frame rate cap of 60 or 45 if you're pairing with lossless scaling. VSync off, dynamic resolution on, screen space reflections on, screen space ambient occlusion on, motion blur off, and brightness, I've set that to 65. Again, that's sort of a preference. In the quality section, everything is on medium except for anti-aliasing. I've put that on high, and FSR is set to balanced. I believe this is FSR 3, although it doesn't say it. I tried forcing FSR 4, and currently that's not possible. I couldn't actually find the DLL file for FSR in the game folder, so I couldn't really do it. Now, battery life on this game is pretty good. It doesn't really fluctuate that much between the presets, but on medium with 60 FPS cap, you're looking at around 2 hours and 45. And if you drop that to a 45 FPS cap, you can stretch the battery life to about 3 hours and 15 minutes. For an action game that is this fast-paced, I think that's a pretty solid battery life. I quickly want to go to some of the other settings in this game because there are a few things worth knowing. Starting with controls, you can't really remap them. What you see in the controls menu is what you get. There is some input sensitivity adjustment, but you can't really fully customize the control scheme, which is a bummer. But I think the controls this game comes with are pretty well thought out. Now, there are a couple of FOV sliders which I left at default, and I think it feels fine. I did test them out, and some of them kind of help a little bit with the performance, but I think the default one are spot on. There is also aim assist, there is a toggle and a strength slider, but honestly, it doesn't matter whether you have it on or off, because the game has a lock-on system built into how combat works at a fundamental level. You're always locking onto enemies regardless. I think the aim assist toggle is more of a minor tweak on top of that rather than something that changes how the game feels in a significant way. I want to mention that this game has an amazing voice acting. It's genuinely excellent. The two main characters, Fox and the AI warden alien, have a dynamic that carries the whole story. The writing is pretty sharp and you're going to meet some pretty interesting characters, and for a game this atmospheric, I think it makes a real difference. There's also a ton of accessibility options, which I want to give proper credit to. There is a solid range here. You have reduced camera motion, you have toggle lock-on, enemy location indicators, traversal skip, accessibility platforms, damage level adjustments, timer adjustments, and some of these are fairly standard, but a few of them I've never seen in a game before, and they kind of change the way you move throughout the game in a pretty meaningful way. Traversal skip in particular can make a real difference for someone who struggles with that kind of movement. It's great to see that a game at this scale puts that level of thought into making things accessible for players who might have some sort of physical impairment. I think more games should aim to do this. And again, it does change the game quite a little bit, but it's great that you have these kind of options. In conclusion, I think Lunar Abyss runs well on the Steam Deck. The verified rating is earned. The default locked preset will get most people through the game without any fuss, and if you want to push further, the settings are there once you unlock them. But honestly, what surprised me most was the game itself. I went in expecting a decent indie shooter and ended up not being able to put it down. It has the same pool as Returnal, just one more run, just one more area, except it's not a roguelike, so the stakes feel different. It's a proper story-driven game, and I think it's genuinely a very good one. If you were on the fence about this game, I hope this video convinced you to buy it, because I really recommend it, and the Steam Deck is a great platform to experience it. That's gonna be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, consider leaving a like. If you hated it, leave a dislike and let me know what I can do to improve. If you're into Steam, Steam hardware and gaming handhelds, consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.